Hi, I'm Bob,
And I'm Sherry.
and this is Mostly Politics with Bob and
Today we have the pleasure to interview Allegheny County Sheriff, Sheriff Kevin Kraus,
his
and
dog.
and his dog.
Which I
That is so fitting.
apologize for that. She's pretty attentive to the property. So
That's wonderful. So, I guess a very first question, I came from China, and the only sheriff I know is watching Western movie when the bar fight's over and this sheriff roll into town with a horse. So, Sheriff Cross, can you tell us a little bit about what is a sheriff? What does a sheriff do?
contrary to what people may think, and I even thought when I was a city of Pittsburgh police officer, when I came over to the sheriff's office as the chief deputy, which is second in command under the former sheriff, I realized how busy and how important the role of the sheriff is, and the dynamics and the operational working points every day. We primarily are responsible for court security. We transport individuals from different jails and correctional facilities to court, back to court. We transport locally, regionally, statewide, and nationally and internationally. We recently have gone to Israel to extradite a prisoner back on a sex crime. So there's a lot that goes on. We serve writs, real estate, sheriff sales. We we have, like I said, the transportation unit. We have 3 fugitive task forces in the office that not only serve non-support warrants for deadbeat dads, but also just bench warrants, arrest warrants, and we have 9 detectives that are assigned to federal task forces, which is the FBI, the DEA, the U.S. Marshals, the ATF, and also the District Attorney Task Force. We're out in the communities. One of our primary missions is to assist 120 plus law enforcement agencies within this county, which is extremely unique. We don't respond to 911 calls, but we are involved in a lot of activities throughout the county, as well as community relations. We have what I would say, a very strong deputy. His name's Jason Terrap. He's probably one of the best at what he does with community relations around the holidays and things we do, turkey drives, food drives, clothing drives. I mean, there's a long list, but it's a busy office, but it's definitely essential to the community.
Can you tell us a little about the structure of the Allegheny County Sheriff's Office?
Yeah, we have 170 sworn deputies. We have 34 civilian employees. We are the only county sheriff's department in the state out of all 67 counties that have full police powers. And we also operate under Act 111, collective bargaining, which mirrors other police agencies. And that makes us unique of sheriff's departments that has that. We have full police powers like the city of Pittsburgh Police, any other municipality, and state police. We have full investigative powers, and we utilize those to serve the community.
So, what are some of the other police powers that maybe other departments, other sheriffs don't have?
We can enforce Title 75, the vehicle code. We can stop vehicles for anything from a broken taillight to a high-speed pursuit, and we intend to continue to do that, and we do that. We have 11 districts within the county that we patrol, and we do enforce laws. We enforce traffic laws, DUIs. We do criminal investigations, and we search warrants for any crime or alleged crime that's in the statutes.
So why is the sheriff elected but not the chief of police?
Well, that goes back to the Constitution. Not every sheriff. I think Northampton County sheriff is appointed, but every other sheriff, to my knowledge, is elected. In Allegheny County, I'm an independent row officer. It's a row office. We're governed budgetarily by the county, but I'm an independent row office and have the ability to make independent decisions on my office.
Do you have a boss? Like, who do you report up to someone?
You and all the other residents in this county.
Okay, so you
That's
don't
good.
have a direct, report. Someone who, I mean, I guess you're accountable to the laws, the governor, that kind of thing. But you don't report to someone on a regular basis, and they give you direction and things like that. You're independent.
We're independent, but I want to work with all the other police departments, the city government, the county government. But as far as reporting to somebody, I'm an elected official and an independent row officer. So I'm elected by you and the people that reside in this county, and that's who I have to uphold the utmost commitment to the Constitution of the state and the country and the laws of this state and country.
I know we started with, you defining what the county sheriff is. If you can give a little bit of your bio.
So I began with the Pittsburgh Police Department in 1993. I was a patrolman. I worked in the community-oriented police division before becoming a road patrolman. From there, I went into narcotics, where I worked street impact and I worked undercover. I went into homicide as a detective, worked there for a few years before being promoted to sergeant, where I was assigned to the Zone 2 Patrol Division for 5 months. Then I made lieutenant, remained at Zone 2, and then I went back to major crimes investigations branch as the major crimes lieutenant. At one point, I served a year as acting commander at the Zone 5 station. It's on Washington Boulevard out on towards the east end. Then I went to the sheriff's office 8 years ago as a chief deputy, second in command under the sheriff. And last year, the sheriff retired. I ran for the seat and was successful. So I was sworn in January 3rd. Completed the FBI National Academy, which is the most recognized training in executive law enforcement. I also attended, it was put on by PERF, but it was the FBI Kennedy School of Government from Harvard in Boston.
So the question is, you are elected official, and we all aware that the current political environment is very divisive, but yet you're being elected in office by both parties. Why do you think that both parties trust you and elected you into office?
I think my record speaks for itself. I think no one would tell you I'm unethical. I respect both parties. I'm here to serve, the entire community equally. I have a duty-bound job to do. I do have personal opinions on things. I recognize what's going on in this country, and I want to do my very best to address these issues and keep law and order.
When you've assumed the role of sheriff, were there any surprises, things that you had to do or things you didn't really appreciate that a sheriff had to deal with?
No, I took a $28,000 pay cut to do it, and I wanted
Oh,
to.
wow.
Wow.
Jeez.
Not that I'm complaining, because I'm very happy to be your sheriff, but not really. I pretty much knew what I was getting into as the number two under Sheriff Mullen. Like I tell everybody, it's easy being number two. When your name goes on that door, things get tighter.
There's things that the sheriff does. You manage things, you take care of all these responsibilities. Do you have any sort of goals or things that you would like to change, improvements you'd like to make?
Yeah, I initiated some projects. We have license plate readers, which we're installing into some of our cars, which helps us identify individuals that might be wanted or stolen vehicles. We have started a we're in the process of an early warning system to identify problem deputies early on so we can address problems before they increase liability to the office. We are trying to find the most updated technology as far as payroll as a matter of efficiency for the office, try to reduce paperwork. And we have, our, I guess, commitments still to the federal task forces, which I believe are extremely important to the community and have more teeth in criminal justice where it's most applicable.
In the past many, many years now, there is a huge problem with fentanyl that's basically over the country. And there's a lot of high schools, unfortunately, have to have Narcan for kids. They're OD'd, on campus. You mentioned your department worked with the DEA. Can you tell us a little bit about going forward? Is there any anti-drug policy, and how do we get the message out to the kids? How do we improve on this? Because a lot of young people are dying.
Yeah, and it's alarming, and it doesn't discriminate, as we all know. Not only our efforts, with the DEA and to fight, this drug pandemic. We have a project. It's called Project Dump. I don't know if you've heard about it, and I do know we were the only sheriff's department in the state, and maybe even the country, that we have a program where we have a deputy especially assigned to this program, and the program's for people to turn over drugs, prescription medication, unused medication. And we have a deputy that's assigned. They don't have to come to us. People don't have to come to us. We have a phone number. I think it's 459-7000, I think, or something. But you can find it on our website. We'll go to you. It's anonymous. We give you a receipt. We take the unused medication. We get a court order. We burn it. And we believe that if we can get unused medications out of houses or off the street, that's a step in preventing addiction. People, get that medication in their hands, they take it, they become addicted, move on to, as you said, fentanyl, heroin, and actually cheaper illegal drugs. So we've had that program in effect for a couple years, and it's been very, very effective, and we get a lot of positive feedback from the community.
This past week, there was a shooting on the north side. 200 young people rented an Airbnb. I guess it was a party. Something happened. I think 11 were shot, 2 fatalities. Can you give us your perspective on that?
That's a city of police investigation. My office, we've offered to help. We're currently somewhat involved in the investigation, but primarily it's the city. My perspective is it never should have got to that point. It should have been quelled, but we're here where we are, and we're just trying to hold those accountable. It's a tragedy. 2 people lost their lives and 8 other people were shot. But from what I know, I can't disclose a whole lot about the investigation, but the amount of rounds and gunshots that were fired, it's absolutely amazing. That, and I'm not making light of the deaths or the injuries, but it could have been a lot worse, is the point I'm trying to make. So
Yeah, we saw the photos on the news with all the numbers on the ground. I guess they're casings, and there were just a lot of them.
oh, there
Far
were.
more than 10.
I've worked homicide most of my career, and I don't recall ever. I can't give you the number. Because the investigation's ongoing. I can't ever remember that many casings at a crime scene.
Wow. Now that's sort of there are routine shootings in areas of the city. It seems like almost every day, several a week. I don't even know if they make the news. I kind of follow the city police on social media, so they'll announce a shot spotter alert. They go there. Typically, they find somebody who's been shot. They're injured. Sometimes they, go after the shooter. But it just seems to happen every couple of days, and I don't even think it's on the news. It's not treated as, it's so routine now. I mean, what's your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are gun violence and violent crime is on a major uptick. And I believe in today's society, police might be hesitant to employ practices that were used in the past. And I want to emphasize police should be accountable. I get it. But all police aren't bad. There's a few incidents we all know about that, George Floyd, that was bad. But I think people need to understand that police don't wake up in the morning wanting to go out and hurt somebody. They just want to protect themselves, protect others, and go home. But it's not pretty, but there's times you have to use force. Whether it's pepper spray, a taser, or a firearm in deadly force. And it's tough in law enforcement today with the way society is to actually to do that, but we can't use that as an excuse. We have to do what we have to do. And as the sheriff, I'm committed with my office to do that. So, but again, my office is unique. I mean, there's, I think, 100, like I said, in 20 some police departments in this county, which is unique. We don't, patrol rural areas or, like other counties. But yeah, I believe in law and order. I believe we're duty bound to enforce the law, not ignore the law, not do exactly what we're supposed to do, if that makes sense.
Yes. And you mentioned also the department has a community outreach department, and it is a very delicate line, I guess, to making sure the sheriff department or the police department have a great relationship with the community, especially the community in the city, and at the same time enforcing the law. So going forward, how do you see to walk that delicate line? I guess is a tricky thing. My own brother-in-law was a police officer for 30 some years, in Buffalo, New York, and as a family of a police officer, we definitely want him to come home every night, and we understand there's a risk that he may or may not come home. So I understand where that fine line is.
I don't know if it's a fine line. I think it's imperative that we educate the community, or at least do our part to do that, and try and, you know, enhance community relations as part of our daily function. But on the same token, we were sworn in by oath to do a job, and we have to do it. And I understand that nowadays, with the climate is with community and law enforcement, and that's the fine line. Trying to do the right thing, and like even for an example, not to go off topic, but we're implementing body cameras with our department, and I can remember when I was in the city when they came out with in-car cameras, the resistance from officers was like, oh, like whoa, and then the body cameras, same thing. Nowadays, I don't know a police officer that doesn't want a body camera, doesn't want video. So, we want to be transparent. We have to be. I mean, that's fundamental to the community. We have to be transparent. But we have to also be able to do our jobs. And like I said, with accountability and transparency, if a cop screws up, we understand that. A cop screws up. If they're held accountable, nobody more than, well, nobody more than me wants to see a bad police officer. But I want to see police officers and my deputies do the job that they took a duty to perform.
Can you give us a walk us through a procedure? Let's just say there are the bad police officer. What is a disciplinary action? What can you take us through that process?
So, can you give me an example of like maybe an incident that's happened that's made the news, or because they're treated on a case by case basis?
Well, it's not like, I random citizen. Let's just say I personally will make a call and say, hey, I was pulled over by this police officer. I don't think I was treated great. And just random citizen files a complaint to a particular police officer. And what do you do from that point on? It doesn't have to be monumental. It could be just a simple complaint.
Well, or maybe the complainant, they interacted with the police. Maybe they got arrested. They said, hey, they handled me too violently. There was no reason to throw me on the ground or something like that. Which I guess she's asking the process for investigating that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we investigate every complaint. We gather as much information and evidence, witness testimony as we can, and we rely on video, body cameras, any other, cell phone video from bystanders or whomever, and we review it and we put our policy into the investigation, and depending on the outcome, if a deputy did use excessive force, they would be severely disciplined, and they would have due process through Act 111 for grievance hearings, termination hearings, disciplinary hearings. But any use of excessive force is not tolerated. But again, using force in general isn't pretty. It's not, to gain compliance, and it's not only for the safety of the officer, but the safety of an individual.
Yeah, if I recall watching Russ Grimm, his Hall of Fame induction speech, and I guess he went into college as a tight end, and they wanted him to play offensive line. And he said the coach explained it to him. Your job is to take a man and move him from point A to point B against his will. And then he says, I tried it. I liked it. I became a, offensive lineman. Anyway, I thought that was kind of a neat parallel to police. So if police encounter someone and, they're whatever, the police don't have an option to walk away. If they get a call or something and a person gets belligerent, as a citizen, we go, wait, I don't want to deal with this. I'm just going to walk away. But the police, they have to deal with that. And if they get to the point where they have to arrest someone or if the other person doesn't want to do it, the result is going to be violence. It's going to be a violent picture as long as they resist. And it seems like with all the cell phone cameras, people just don't, they're shocked. They're shocked to see this. Like, it shouldn't happen this way. And I don't know any other way.
Yeah, the common denominator is noncompliance. And I could tell you, we as police officers want compliance. We're trained of how to try and make people comply through, verbal de-escalation. It's called verbal judo. It's been in effect for many years. You try and exercise each step of the continuum of force with the goal of gaining compliance before it gets involved in violence. And that doesn't always happen. Everybody sees that. And, our training is to maintain compliance. And then that comes to use of force, and that comes to different levels of use of force. And I agree that people think it's not pretty, but it's 99% of the time necessary. But I do understand the times that it isn't, and those police officers should be held accountable.
What would you say to a person who is 100% convinced that they're innocent, they did nothing wrong, that the cop is wrong for accusing them of whatever? I mean, what would you advise them to do if they're being arrested or being told to do something they don't want to do and they know in their hearts and minds that they did nothing wrong? Should they still comply?
Yes, I believe they should comply. There's a different arena for their response to that, as far as getting a lawyer, filing complaints, and having it investigated. However, that doesn't always happen. We know that. In order to resist arrest, you have to resist an unlawful or a lawful order. So, I think it's better to handle it a little bit down the road than it is right there on the side of the road. So,
So yeah, if they're plead your case, if it's not working, just comply and take it to the courts.
right. Or take it to another body of judgment.
Okay.
But that would be my message, and if it was me and I did nothing wrong and I'm getting put on the ground at gunpoint for some reason, I'm complying. Whether, even as a police officer, I'm not okay. I mean, whatever. So it's,
Does your department work with some of the nonprofit organizations, such as like there's a Light Rescue in the north side that helping homeless men mainly to help them overcome addiction. There's Moms for Gun Violence, and then go into schools to talk to kids. And do you guys work with those nonprofits?
we do. That's a full-time mission of our office, is to do school education, just education as a whole to the homeless, to different I guess communities of to address problems, to educate, offer our services, and let people know what services are available, and like I said, our crime prevention deputy is very good at what he does, and he's committed full time to that, and we do a lot of things outside of just enforcing the law.
Also, as a mom, I'm a mom of 11-year-old boy. But when he was younger, and a lot of me and the moms talk about, one of the things that fear us the most is human trafficking. And a lot of people have a misconception that only happens in foreign countries. But we know, as moms, it happens a lot within the United States. And I work in I'm a wedding decorator. I work in the hotel industry, and people tell me that the people work at the hotel are being trained now to spot human trafficking, and to, if a kid's come in with an adult, then they would teach, they need to start observing how the child react to the adult that bring them in. Does your department educate citizens or go into like elementary school? Because I understand that the most human trafficked girls are 9 to 12 and boys are 5 to 8. Because my son's 11 now, I'm worrying less. But what do you say to the moms out there that's really worried about that? Like, their kids go missing, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think. I mean, I can't speak as a parent, but I think education has to be imperative. I think social media monitoring and education has to be key as well. But it's not always going to work. And my office, we've partnered with the FBI. We've deputized people assigned to the FBI to work those types of cases where people travel and get involved in human trafficking and luring the, like, for example, pose on social media as a 12-year-old girl and they want to travel for sex, and we interdict those people. It's like a sting operation, I guess the most simply way to put it. So we're committed to that. We educate in that, and I think it's very important, especially with the technology today and the social media, and how things can happen.
Do you guys go to like elementary school to tell the children? Because, as a mother, I said, don't talk to strangers, right? Then I turn around, I see my son talking to a stranger. So do you guys go into, not by not scaring the kids, but at least make them aware that, God forbid.
We do.
You do? Oh, that's great.
We do.
What program is that?
Well, it's through the we like I said, it's not an actually called program, but it's something we do, and it's that crime prevention deputy that I talked about. He covers a wide variety of topics and education programs, and we do offer that type of education.
Would that be initiated if a school, say, called you and requested it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And how can they reach this crime prevention office deputy and to go to the school and talk about this type of thing?
They can call my office at 412-350-4711.
And then just ask about getting an education to the school, asking for this deputy.
Yep, and I will provide it. We will provide it as necessary as soon as possible. Whenever they'd like us to come out, we'll come out, or even I would come out if I had to. Yeah, nowadays parenting. I can't even imagine how stressful that is. But you know,
Yes, it's very because I have to check my son's cell phone, check his social media, tell him don't talk to strangers, not
Hmm.
just in the physical sense. And I had no idea all these games they play, they can actually talk to people across the internationally. It is tasking.
Scary, sure.
Yeah, scary.
it is.
Kevin, one last question. Do you have I don't know, we all have our days. We have our tasks and things we have to get done every day, but you sort of have this approach to your job, your life, like a personal mission, how you see your role, things that drive you?
Do you mean on the job or in general? Or?
Just I don't know, like a life, a foundation, what your purpose and mission is, like what causes you to be in law enforcement and keeps you going even when it's tough.
Yeah, my father was a CPA and he owned a large firm, and he never pushed me, but I always thought, that could be maybe a logical step. And I just I always wanted to be a cop. And I graduated from college in criminal justice, and I worked hard. And I believe in taking the bad guys off the streets. I don't want to say I'm here to help everybody because that sounds cliche, but no, I wanted to be a cop. I thought it was a challenging, career to get into. I thought it is an exciting career. Even now, I mean, I still have that drive in me to do the right thing and arrest people that commit crimes. I mean, that's what we're paid to do. And even with everything that's going on in this country, I'm committed to law and order, and that's what I commit myself to my office and my deputies to do. And I think it starts with the leadership, and I'm committed to do that. I enjoy the job. It's challenging. It's been a very very good career, and I'm very glad I've done it in Pittsburgh.
Do you see light at the end of the tunnel as far as the negativity towards police and policing? I mean, foresee that going away anytime soon or improving?
That I don't know. I can't answer that. I don't know.
Because you have hope, though.
I mean, I have hope that this country can come together and not be so divisive. I don't have the solution to that. Other than me, I'm committed to the Constitution. I'm committed to what the laws are. I'm not advocating taking people's guns away. I'm not getting involved in advocating for legislation to anything like that. But it's, I have to uphold the Constitution and the laws. And I do hope that the opinions and people can come together just to make us all safer overall. Because right now it's not headed in that direction, and something has to be done. And until that happens, I honestly don't know.
So how long is your term? Like 4 years?
It's 4 years.
4 years. Would you come back again for an interview when you're ready to run again?
Absolutely, I'll come back anytime you guys would have me. I appreciate you spending your time to talk to me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we wanted to people, regular everyday people, to know, exactly what a sheriff does and what's your responsibility, and a lot of people don't really know. So this has been great.
Yeah, thanks. Do you have any other questions or anything about what we do? Or
Is there anything that you want to talk about that we didn't ask you?
one thing I'd like to talk about, another one of our programs, I don't know if you're aware of this. We've been out in your area before. We're coming out again. We like people that want to get licensed to carry concealed firearms. The sheriff issues those, and normally we do it 3 or 4 times a year. Since I took over in January, we're going to do it 7 months. We're going to expand it. So what we do is, instead of coming into the courthouse to get a gun permit, in addition to that, we're going out to 7 different locations throughout the county to make it more convenient for people to get concealed carry permits, which has been huge and a lot of positive feedback, because people don't have to drive into town. There's hundreds of people that attend these and appreciate the opportunity to, drive into their own community to get a gun permit. So we do that, and I think that's a very good service that we provide to the community.
When do
And
you come?
suburbanites hate to pay for parking.
That's
You know,
Where are these locations, and how do we find the schedule that when you're coming out for this?
I don't have it in front of me, but we have one next Saturday in the North Hills in Ohio Township, and then we're going to Monroeville. If you go on our website or our Facebook page, they're all listed. There's 7 of them. They're already scheduled, and we're looking forward to
are they
being.
typically in municipal buildings or something like that?
They are, or
Okay.
volunteer fire halls.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Any place that obviously we could get Wi-Fi and parking is what the most important things we look at, because people want to have somewhere to park, and they'll stand in line. It's crazy. People won't come into town, but they'll stand in line for an hour or so just to get one there.
Now, do they have to submit the paperwork prior to this, or do they bring it with them?
They can bring it with them.
Okay.
Yep. And depending on, we have to run a PICS check, which is an instant check through the state police and other databases. But if everything's running properly, you could get your gun license in just a matter of minutes.
Okay.
But if there's a glitch in the system, we try to accommodate people, not have them stand there for 2 hours. We'll take their address and we'll mail it to them.
Okay.
So they'll get it within a day or 2 after.
So you can still take their photograph and things,
Mhm.
but without the internet connection, you can't finalize it.
Right.
I didn't even know there was a Facebook page. I just followed it. It's Allegheny County Sheriff's Office on Facebook.
Okay.
So if anybody wants to know, and can we put a link? Can we
Yeah.
put a logo in there? Okay, great.
But yeah,
Well,
they're
thank.
listed on there, all 7 locations we're going to. So
Okay.
it's spread
And
out
those
throughout the county. So everybody,
permits are good for 5 years,
yes, sir.
and there's a cost to it.
$20.
$20.
And
Okay.
it's cash.
Hmm.
And what's unique about that, $19 goes to the county, $1 goes to the state police. We don't even get 1 penny out of the money. So it's just the way it is. But that's one of our priorities is to make sure we, you know, make available the ability to get a gun license, a
Right.
permit to carry.
Okay.
Well, that's fantastic. Thank you so much. We learn a lot today.
A whole lot.
Whole
Thanks,
lot,
Kevin.
yes.
And thank you.